You're listening to the Hunting Land Man podcast. This is Slade Priest, your host, the Hunting Land Man.
Rack buck down here on opening day.
If you're interested in rack bucks and real estate and everything that has to do with hunting property, this is the podcast for you.
Well, here we go. This may be the first podcast ever recorded on a generator. We are day 2 after Hurricane Ida. I got me and new Ryan, and we all made it through Hurricane Ida okay, and very thankful that the storm actually moved farther to the east, which was good for us, not good for some of our neighbors, Ryan Wascom and Craig and all them. They had it a lot rougher. Everybody's safe. Nobody's homes got messed up bad as far as our crew, so we're very thankful for that. All of our clients down in South Louisiana, I sent out an email this morning and so Instagram message. If anybody needs anything, if you're listening to this and you need anything, water, gas, food, if we can help you with a chainsaw, just let us know. But our prayers and thoughts are with y'all. All right, we decided we couldn't do a lot of work today other than record another podcast, which we needed to anyway. So I got new Ryan on the mic. Ryan, thank you for being here.
Good to be back.
And he's been on every podcast at some form or fashion, so he's back. But today we're going to talk about how to buy land in a hot market, and always hot market or a slow market. We always use Southern Ag Credit. That's the Hunting Land Man 14 podcast. 14 is brought to you by Southern Ag Credit. So thank y'all for always being on there. And I've even got my little pad even says Southern Ag on it. So they take good care of us and give us good closing gifts like that. So, this podcast applies to any time. Right now, of course, anywhere in the country, the real estate market is hot. And we're going to talk about right now it being hot, but this can apply to any time. So if you're listening to this is 2021. If you're listening to this podcast at 2025, the same rules will apply, but we're going to use right now as an example. Right now, the market is really, really hot. And the reason is low inventory, great interest rates, and with COVID, we've had a super high demand for people wanting to be outdoors. All those things has making for a hot market. Ryan, before I get too far, I want your perspective. How hot is this market, and how crazy is it right now?
Well, from what I've heard, obviously I started 1st of January. But from what I've heard, I'd always heard Mr. Scott and you talk about when I first started coming into talks with y'all and everything, how last year was so crazy. We're wanting to know if this year was going to top it. And from what I've seen, it's doubled almost from how fast everything has been going so far. And that's helped me a ton because I've been able to pick up on things a lot quicker, being that there's so much more speed going on throughout the market and everything. But, really just, learning what the buyer needs to be looking for and how to be able to pass that information along to them has been able to help me out a lot just because of the market we are in right now. So that's been a big thing for me.
It really is. And fortunate for Ryan, he has, I think we've done 26 closings with Ryan and I and Lori this year. And I think we have 10 pending right now, 10 or 11 pending right now. So, we're already at close to 40. We'll probably get that number to hopefully 50 plus before the end of the year. So the market's been really hot. First thing comes to mind was, I'd hate to buy right now. It's a seller's market. That is true. And that thought process is not wrong. But things never go down. Let me use this example. Right now, if you go try to buy a Chevy Z71, it's going to cost you, 65, 70 grand, something right now. They may slow down and you may be able to negotiate more in 2 years, but they're never going back to 50,000. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with land. So let's say something really hot in Wilkes County right now is selling for 4,000 an acre. It's never going back down to 2,500. And I'm not saying that because I'm all-knowing or anything. I guess I could be wrong, but historically things have never, they may flatten and they may dip a little bit, but they're going up. So I guess going to one of my things on my list, the best time to buy land is yesterday. And it really is. The best time to buy land is 5 years ago. Some of these, I'm looking at some of our sold properties on my computer screen in front of us, and I look at some of the sales. If I had to sell them again right now, I could get 15 or 20% more for them. We're only talking about a year or two. So, the market is hot. I do think it's still a great time to invest because it's still going up. It's actually hard to price things right now because it's going up so much. And this is our example, so this is a hot market, so where it's fresh on our mind. So we want to bring y'all how to buy land in a hot market. Okay, so usually the process, you see something online on huntinglandman.net or .ms.com, and you send us an email. Hey Slade, hey Ryan, hey Lori, I want to go look at a piece of land. Okay, so we go out and we go look at this 500 acres in Amite County, and typically for the larger stuff, when I say larger, the $1 million plus stuff, usually the guy who's buying is in the driver's seat. In a hot market, that's not the case. This is a seller's market, which we did a podcast on that. I think about 2 or 3 podcasts ago with Shane Saxton. Usually, the buyer with the money in his pocket is in the driver's seat. In a hot market, that's not necessarily the case. If you got the only Z71 on the lot, you don't have to negotiate real hard on it. You can command your price and people will pay for it. And that's the same thing with good land right now. Doesn't mean you can't be smart and make a good investment. If you're using a realtor, if you're using us, or if another agent that's buying them through us, get him to show you some comps, what things are actually selling for. I'm never going to recommend that even if it is a hot market, I don't want you to make a bad decision. I want you to make a good decision. So if you call me in 3 to 5 years, if you're selling, if you're upgrading, if you got a cousin or a brother that's buying, I want you to recommend me. So I'm never going to do anything. I'm never going to recommend that you do something. Now, if there's something I think that we're stepping out on the edge of that, I'm going to tell you, hey, look, you better want this place because this is a little bit of a stretch as far as maybe your budget or what it's actually worth. And the way things are going right now, it's actually a lot harder to do what things are worth because they're selling so fast and getting so close. Usually we do about 93 to 94% of our asking prices on land. Right now, it's pretty common to do 95, 98, 100% of asking price. So things are definitely different in a hot market. Let me see what I got on this list here. Okay, you go look at the land with us. You like it. All right, here, it's a $1 million piece of land. You like it, Ryan Slade, I want to make an offer. All right, in a hot market, typically, if I have a buyer making an offer from another agent through ourselves, I like to start, at least 85%, 90%. And we're not talking about wholesale deals and trying to get a good tract to flip. This is regular real estate, places that are bought and sold normally. So I like to see 85, 90% somewhere in there as a starting price. Usually I tell my clients they need 5 to 10% worth of negotiation on the price. Now, I don't price all places. Sometimes other agents do, so I can't control that. But so if you're thinking, okay, it's $1 million place, you need to be offering $850, $900. And it's the same thing in a $100,000 place. You need to be offering, $85,000 to $90,000. But in a hot market, that may not be the case. For example, we had 78 acres that we listed out in Wilson County, West Woodville, super high popular area. The first week it was on the market, Ryan and I got out there. And look, and I'm just going to tell you, if Ryan and I and Lori or anybody at Southern States Realty are marketing these things, this is what we want to happen. Our job is to market these things and bring the highest and best value. So we're going to put all the marketing out there. Ryan's going to do one of those bad to the bone videos he's been doing. We're going to do all the social media ads. So we're going to try to bring as many buyers to the table the first 2 weeks as we can. Example with this 78 acres. We had 2 or 3 other agents showing it. I showed it 2 or 3 times the first week. And the day that I actually contracted it, I sold it. I showed it twice, and the guy who looked at it first that day called me as soon as my other show was done and said, "Tell your guy he's too late. I want it full asking price." And that's what that's not what always happens, but in a hot market, that's the type of stuff happens. Yeah. So if you see a track you like, you kind of got to get away from getting the best deal.
I think we put that one on the market that Wednesday, and it was under contract Friday afternoon. Yeah.
And it's funny because here's another example in a hot market. That was 78 acres. It's a $270,000 property, something like that, close to $300,000 property. We did that with we did that with over 700 acres last week. Put it on. That's what's happening, and what can happen in a hot market right now in Southwest Mississippi. Things that usually take months and years to sell are selling in days. And so depending on how hot the market is, you have to consider that. So, if you see something you like, don't piddle around. Hey, I want to go look at this the next time you have time, because good tracks don't last long for a reason. And, get so many clients out there that say, "Oh, I don't want to get in a bidding war. I don't get it." But let me be the devil's advocate on that. And if the track you're buying doesn't have any activity, that should maybe be a red flag. What's wrong with that track? Because one day if you get ready to sell it, or your kids get ready to sell it, or your grandkids get ready to sell it, why does it not have any activity? So if you've got a track that has a lot of activity, it just means you got a good track. Nothing wrong with that. And if you make smart decisions and you got a good realtor, a good agent, if you're working with us or anybody else, let them guide you. Don't be scared of getting in, quote unquote, a bidding war. It's just, because it's not a war. It's just, hey, this is where I'm prepared to offer, and if they don't accept it, move on to the next one. So don't be afraid of that, and definitely a good agent can help you with that. All right, something else, with Southern Ag Credit or any bank, in a competitive market, never a bad idea to get your financing in order. New Ryan, he's been doing stuff on some personal things right now, and I do it too. Where if you're going to look for a $500,000 piece of property, a $250,000 piece of property, go to Southern Ag, go to another bank, go ahead and get a pre-approval. That way, the financing contingency, don't have to worry about that, because we know you got the financing. I can tell another agent, if I'm representing you, hey, look, he's already been with the bank. Here's a pre-approval level. I'll get Alex or somebody at Southern Ag to send you an email letting them know they're good to go. It makes your offer stronger, because on offers sometimes the highest price doesn't necessarily win.
Mm-hmm.
The one with
boxes that are checked,
right? The one with the least contingencies. Yeah. And the highest price wins, So pre-approval is not a bad idea. And it really, you can know where you want to be budget-wise, because that's one of the first questions we ask. Hey, where do you want to be? What's your goal for your place? And what's your budget? So you can go ahead and, knock that out. What's your budget by getting pre-approval? So that's definitely in a hot market, that is a better thing to do, because you can move faster. Mm-hmm. As properties are moving faster, you can move faster. Another thing, but when we talk about making better offers and with the contingencies and everything, is closing costs. Now, I'm going to say this, and somebody's going to argue with me when they're listening, but let me tell you what closing costs are. The guy that brings the money to the table, a.k.a. the buyer, he's paying the closing costs. Well, no, not necessarily. No, he's paying them. The seller's either going to accept more money or less money. So I tell my clients, you want to make your offer more attractive? Check the box says you'll pay all the closing costs. Mm-hmm. Because in the grand scheme of things, we're talking about very small percentages, and it looks cleaner. The seller doesn't have to negotiate on that. And you just remember, okay, if the listed price is $1 million and you're offering $900, but you're looking to pay all the closing costs, just figure that into the price. Don't let it confuse you, and don't let it confuse the seller. So that's never a bad idea. Don't complicate your offer. Make them clean. There's nothing an agent hate worse than an offer that comes in their email and it's got addendums and stuff this long, and you got to be a Harvard lawyer to look through it. That's not that just makes it harder. So if you want your offer to be, more presentable to a seller, less contingencies. The closing cost is one of them. Appraisal, that sort of thing. Checking the box where it doesn't have to appraise it can be risky. If your agent is doing their job, they should be able to tell you if it's going to appraise anyway. They should know the market good enough it's going to appraise, or close enough anyway. Now, sometimes things can happen. Different banks can send the wrong appraiser out there. We did an appraisal podcast, a couple podcasts ago, really good information about how appraisals are done. But, typically, if we're representing you or one of our other agents that we can recommend or representing you, they know if it's going to appraise or not, or really close to that, so that you can make a safe non-checking of that box if that's a route you decide to go down. Let me see. Do I need to wait? That's what I put on a little list right here. You know, that's a good question. Somebody out there, man, I don't know, Slade. I've been thinking about buying a piece of hunting land. Do I need to wait? I mean, we get that question all the time.
I've heard you say a lot on that one, not to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Just really since I started, I've heard you say a lot. If you see it, don't hesitate. If you see it, buy it. Because if you take that thought process of, I'm going to just wait till the market settle down a little bit, kind of what you were talking about earlier. You look up 10 years from now and you're still sitting without a piece of property. I mean, if you see something that hits all of your boxes or even majority of your boxes, there's no need to wait, because 10 years, nothing. So
Right.
I think I've heard you say that a ton.
And it's steadily going up, you know. So do I need to wait? You know, it is a seller's market right now. I get it. Do I think it's going to go down a whole lot? I just don't see it.
I remember y'all talking about that last year, thinking there was no way it was going to be able to compete with last year, and it's outdone it tremendously.
And people smarter than me are saying we got another year of this, and they're saying it's not going to pop, because the things that created like the 2008 pop, this is not the same factor, so it'll just slow down. Now, even when it slows down, remember with appraisals from the appraisal podcast, prices are going to still be there. It may take a little longer to sell. Maybe you can get a little bit cheaper, but by and large, they're not gonna go from $4,000 an acre to $2,000 or $4,000 to $3,000. They may go $4,000 to $3,800. But so, do I need to wait? Like Ryan just said, if you see a tract that checks all the boxes, you know, with hunting property, it's not like a beach house in Orange Beach or Destin. The condo right below it is not about to come up for sale in Liberty or in Natchez. You know, it's a different thing. If it checks all the boxes, it's unique. Yeah. You know, it's got,
Everybody's got their own
I
style.
want this waterfall, or I want this pond, or I want these hardwoods, or man, that area, you know, right there, that's where I want to be. Well, that area, you know, that property beside it's probably not coming up for sale anytime soon. So if it checks the boxes, no, you do not need to wait. This was a question Ryan asked before we started. Leverage, you know, typically in a slower market, you know, the buyer has the leverage. You know, does buyer have the leverage in this type of market? No, but I mean, you're still, you know, if a seller has their place listed, they want to sell. They may tell you, I don't have to sell, or Slade, I ain't giving this place away. Yeah, but you do have it for sale. So there's a thought process out there. I do want to sell it. So yes, you do have some leverage. You've got the money in your pocket or whatever like that. Doesn't mean you have the same amount of leverage if not. If you or your agent is educated to the market and you know these sort of things, we can argue for you on leverage. At the end of the day, in any real estate deal, me or any of my team, I want the seller to sell their place for what it's worth, and I want the buyer to buy the place for what it's worth. And where does that meet? Where we think the place appraised. And when we price places, that's how they're priced. So I want everybody to get a fair deal. I'm going to educate you in the process of, hey, this is a fair deal. What I run into a lot of times, and Ryan's heard me talk about this, is, you know, so many times, you know, you either have successful businessmen or people who've been successful somewhere in life buying these expensive places, and for whatever reason, they just want to win the deal. And there's nothing wrong with that. Heck, I like to win the deal. You feel like you got a deal. All right, but remember, when we started this process, when you got on LandWatch or you got on my website or you called me, the purpose was not to win the deal. The purpose was to get a place at a fair price, usually. You know, usually to get a place at a fair price. So let's not lose that fact that, okay, we found the place we want. He's willing to sell it to me at a fair price. Just because I'm not winning the argument doesn't mean, you know, I've seen people lose places they should have bought because they didn't win the argument. And that's not a smart place to be with anything. Let me see here what I got. My last thing I kind of had on here was the best time to buy is yesterday. And then we talked about that earlier, and I truly mean that land's always going up. You know, I've heard my dad talk about, oh, I could have bought all this for this much, or I could have bought all this for this much, and I'm sure one day my kids will say, Dad, land wasn't 3,500 an acre. Why didn't you buy everything you could buy? Well, I didn't have that much. You know, that was a lot of money back then. That's probably going to be the talk when Ryan and I have kids one day. But right now, I would say the best time to buy is yesterday. So that's a good quote you can put on Instagram. And you put Slade Priest under there. I'm sure somebody said it before me, but you can put that on there. Well, Ryan, I've kind of gone through my list. What are some things that maybe I didn't pick up or didn't mention that you maybe want to mention as I was talking about this?
I think you hit on a lot of it. Just kind of piggybacking off of what you had said earlier when we were talking about leverage. It kind of goes hand in hand, you know, with a bunch of different things. But one of the things that we kind of skimmed over is doing those little things right, having your ducks in a row. Because I've seen a lot of contracts in my 8-month time already where, you know, buyer brings a contract to the table where he's got all of his financing in order, everything, appraisal, all that already taken care of, brings the contract at a fair price. And even if it's week one of it being on the market, it's hard for that seller to look at it and just say, oh, no, it's only 1 week, I'll wait. Because when everything is perfect, everything's in line like that, buyer's ready to go, they got the money in their pocket. I mean, we've probably closed, heck, I'd say just in the 8 months I've been here, I'd say we probably have done 8 sold within or under contract within the first week of having it online.
Right.
And that's
Heck,
a lot of that
2
was
last
due.
week.
Yeah, a lot of that was due with
3 last week.
Buyer just kind of having his ducks in a row, knowing exactly what he wanted, no wishy-washy type thing, going in, getting what they wanted, and getting the deal done. So I think that's a very, very big thing. And figure out what you want. Go ahead and do the little things beforehand. That way, whenever you go there, you're ready to roll.
Good point. Yeah, I think that you're right. If you're going to have any leverage as a buyer in a hot market, to summarize what Ryan said, have your ducks in a row. You know, have your financing, have your good offer ready.
Control the things that you can control, I think would be a good saying.
Very good point. Control the things that you can control. You can control what the buyer is going to accept, but you can't control how attractive your offer is, how aggressive you are with your negotiating and things like that. So have your ducks in a row. But this market is hot right now. You know, this hurricane, of course, will slow us down for a couple of days with good reason. But hunting season, you know, as we've been going through this year, you know, it's been crazy busy. Right around 4th of July, which is normal. Phone didn't ring for a week or two quite as much, and Ryan hears it in my voice. I get, oh, what's going on? Is it slowing down? No, it's not. We put 3 or 4 properties on the market, 4 or 5 properties on the market last week. So we put 1, 2. We put 6 properties on the market last week, and 3 of them are under contract, and we've got activity on the other ones. So I mean, it really is going that fast. So
before the hurricane, those other 2 were showing every day, every other day. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, those two of the there was a big property we put on the market in Amite County that was it was on the Amite River. We had a 28. 48, 105, and a 296. The 2 small ones are under contract. The 296 is supposed to get an offer any day, and the 105 has been shown about 4 times, so any day on it. And that it literally has been on the market a week. So things are selling fast, and I think that will continue on into deer season. This is normally our hot time. September's tomorrow, and this is normally our hot time. So we're just getting rocking and rolling, and it is that crazy. So as we've been talking about all podcasts, if you see things you like, you better speak up. Get educated with the market. You know, the market's going to go up or down. You as a buyer, you can educate yourself. Listen to podcasts like this. There's other podcasts out there you can listen to. Something that's really good, if you get on our email list, we're always sending out what's on the market, what's listing, what's selling, new information. So if you're not on our email list, shoot me a text, a call, or email, or comment on here and give us your name and email address, and we'll put you on the email list. But pay attention to the market. Our website, southernstatesrealty.com, or LandWatch, Lands of America, Land and Farm, any of those websites. See what's on the market and what's selling. That way, if you do get in a situation 3 years from now and you're actually ready to buy, you're educated to the process and you're not 100% relying on my knowledge. You've done some research yourself and you can make a better decision because you know what you want because you've been out there looking. You know, our area, Southwest Mississippi, where we're at, well, in East Feliciana, West Feliciana, Woodville, Liberty, our area continues to be hot year in, year out in my whole career in real estate the last 15 years. Some of your markets a little farther north in Mississippi, they have a hot market right now, but it's not normally as hot as this is right now. So that's something to think about too. You know, maybe if you're up in Warren County or something like that, you can maybe negotiate a little bit more. And there's a lot of factors that factor into that, why those markets aren't as hot. But Southwest Mississippi, Wilson, Amite, Adams, Franklin, East Feliciana, West Feliciana, these markets are always hot. So I think you're going to be dealing with how to buy land in a hot market here a lot more than other places. Well, Ryan, you got anything else?
I think that's all. I think we hit it on it pretty good.
This one was just a quick one. We kind of wanted to get something out there for y'all to be listening to you while your generator's running like ours is in the background. But something if y'all have anything you want us to touch on, our next couple are going to be, we're going to do as a Missouri Project 2. We've got some really good deer on camera. Food plots are looking good. We got 2 inches of rain today up there, so the plots are looking good. And Ryan will be hunting in there in a month. We'll be at convention. We're going to probably do a podcast from the convention, tell everybody how that's going. And we're going to do something with Scott Lindsay about what a forester can do for you as far as management plans, investment, and things like that as far as timber. It's a question we get a lot. So if there's anything else out there that y'all want us to touch on, we definitely would like to hear from you. Put a comment on here. And as always, if you can get on there and give us a 5-star review. If you're going to give us a 1-star review, I'm not asking you to do that, but give us a 5-star written review. It really helps us out. And share this with somebody you think that would benefit from it. We're just trying to educate people. Hey, if you use us as your realtors, that's great. But if not, these principles apply anywhere in the country that we're doing. We do touch on a lot in our area because that's where we're from, but these principles apply everywhere. So thank y'all. God bless. Again, if we need you, if you need us for anything during this hurricane, feel free to pick up the phone and call us. We'll help you in any way we can. Ryan, you got anything else?
That's it. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Hunting Land Man podcast. If you will, take a moment, give us a 5-star written review, guys. This really helps us out. And if you know anybody you think will be interested in this podcast, please share it with them.